All right, well, welcome parents to our virtual parent coffee. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and if you know anyone who's unable to be here, just remind them that they are going to be able to view this in the nightly news that'll be linked for anyone who wants to listen later on in the weekend. It's great to look out and see so many of you here to join today in this virtual space to just get some updates about the school and then also to learn more about our off-campus education program. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started as is my habit here. So first of all, some announcements. I want to congratulate our boys and girls varsity soccer teams. They both won district titles this week. It was very exciting for them. So wonderful job, soccer players, and go Knights. Another little shout out here and congratulations to so many musicians. So some of you who have students in band likely know that we had students participate in honor band and also solo and ensemble and just have a bunch of success there. So wonderful to see so many of our instrumental musicians having success. And Miss Castle, our wonderful band teacher, she's actually away in New York City this week with a senior who qualified to play in a very select group at Carnegie Hall. So just great to see so many of those opportunities available to our musicians. I also had the chance to hear our Knights of Steel. They performed last week for the Stewart Chamber of Commerce breakfast we hosted in our dining hall, and they just sound great. So wonderful to hear all of that lovely music. Speaking of fine arts, I also want to nudge you to look for the Pine booths at the Hobe Sound and Martin County Arts Festival. So this weekend is the Hobe Sound Art Festival, and then the next weekend is going to be the Stewart Art Festival. And it's really fun when the students who are displaying their art see classmates and parents come by just to visit them and encourage them on. Another announcement, you've likely noticed that construction is definitely continuing on our new Arts and Athletics building. We'll see some more activity there in the coming weeks. We're getting close to the point where we'll be pouring cement for the stage and also doing some big work on our air conditioning system here campus-wide so that we'll be able to bring that new space into our air conditioning, our HVAC system. And then also, as you're driving into campus, I'm hoping that you noticed the work happening in the field space just to the north of our drive. And so the texture field, it should be finished in about 3 weeks, and then we'll let it set and take hold, let that grass take hold for another 3 weeks. But we do anticipate having that field available to our students definitely once we're back from spring break and maybe even a little bit before that. So wonderful to know that new outdoor field is going to be ready for our athletes here very soon. All right, let's look at some dates coming up in the Pine School calendar. So off and running here, February is indeed a very busy time. We will have a kindergarten readiness day tomorrow, and wonderful to see some of our newest future Knights here on campus. And then looking ahead to next week, because of those district wins, we will be in a position to host the 2 first games of regional soccer play for boys and girls. And so that will happen next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. The timing of those games is still to be determined. We work on that actively as the brackets sort of develop or the teams are ranked following district play. On the 10th of February, we have a wonderful event for our lower school students and families. Jackie Brownie, our science teacher, has organized the local Astronomy Society to come and bring some telescopes for a little bit of stargazing. So lower school parents, we hope that you'll come out for a night under the stars. It should be really fun. Then next weekend, we've got some dances. We'll have a 7th and 8th grade dance on Friday night. My husband Andrew and I have invited all the 7th and 8th grade parents to come over to our house. It's less than 2 miles from campus. If you want to stop in for some great company and a little snack or drink while the kids are at the dance, we'd welcome you to do that. And then on Saturday night, we will have an upper school dance. So 2 really fun social events coming up for our older students. On the 18th of February, we'll be closed for class, so no class, but faculty and staff will be here for an in-service day or professional development day. And then, of course, the 21st, Monday the 21st, is President's Day, and that's a holiday for all. On the 22nd, we'll host an admissions open house. You probably saw the sign at the entrance to the school, so tell all your friends. It's a great time for them to come and see our campus and learn more about the Pine School. On the 22nd of February, we'll also kick off Kindness Week. This is a wonderful week that focuses on how we want to treat each other here in the school community, and more broadly, that our school counselor Heidi Kay organizes. And always during this week, we have a pink shirt day, and that will be on the 24th of February. So that's Thursday, the 24th. I'm also really happy to share with you all that we are going to make an effort here to revitalize our buddy program. And so look forward to some more information coming from me or Miss Kay about that. But, our students have had in the past a great time getting to know students in other grades. And so we're looking to formalize that, add a little bit more structure to it, and and make sure we create a great way for some of our nights to get to know each other across divisions. And then the last weekend in February, we will have our school musical, The Little Mermaid. I've been watching the practices come along out in the breezeway, and really think you're going to have a fabulous, fabulous show. And of course, what a wonderful story, The Little Mermaid, one of my Disney favorites. So that takes us through the month of February. Moving into March, we don't have as much time here collectively because, of course, we have spring break, and then we have off-campus education, which we'll hear more about shortly. I imagine that we will skip that first meeting in March for our virtual parent coffee, and probably look forward to having our last virtual parent coffee the first Friday in April, but more news on that to come. So, another thing you all know I like to do in these virtual parent coffees is give a little update about COVID and Pine. I'm really happy to say that it appears COVID cases are falling, like slowing down here on our campus. And of course, that's just reflective of what we see in our community. We still have a lot of cases here in the community, but it's just not as impacting as many students as it has in the past. It's been over 2 weeks since we've seen a case in lower school, and faculty and staff, for the most part, are back and healthy now. If you are interested in looking at the cases on campus, I would just send you to the COVID case tracker that I make my best effort to maintain. I'm pretty good about updating it daily. If you ever see it and it's not updated, just give me a little nudge. But it appears that we are turning a corner, and so fingers crossed on that. I just want to thank our Pine families for their help and cooperation. It's really been great to see so many families erring on the side of caution and keeping sick kids at home. And so, because of that, when we've had maybe a parent who's been positive for COVID, or a child who's been a close contact off campus, parents have just kept those kids at home, and it's been really helpful for us in terms of keeping everyone healthy on this campus. And then also, we've been able to see a lot more kids just test to stay or test to return as testing has become more easily available. Speaking of COVID and Pine, I want to give an awesome shout out to Nurse Palmer. What a time to start working as a school nurse. And she has just taken it in stride, taken it so gracefully. She and Nurse Lori have been working really well together to support our students here for their day-to-day needs on campus, but then also to communicate with families who have questions about what to do should a family member or their child come down with COVID. So I just thank Nurse Palmer for just jumping in with both feet. It's been wonderful to welcome her to our Pine School team. I'm going to show you this slide that we look at every month when we gather together. And I again, the evidence that I'm seeing here is that families are really, adhering to this for the most part, and making every effort to do what they can to keep people healthy on this campus. So been happy to see that, sick kids are staying at home, and families continue to be cooperative in reporting positive COVID cases to the school, and working with us so that we can get get healthy kids in class and back to class as soon as possible. And then, so just, we're kind of taking it day by day, but I really do appreciate everyone's cooperation, and remaining calm. We've been incredibly fortunate that for the students and faculty and staff members who, have contracted COVID of late, we haven't seen a serious case here in our community. And I certainly appreciate that there are people, beyond our community that are really suffering with this illness. So don't hear me trivializing it, but it is really fortunate that so far we have navigated things well with this recent surge in COVID. Okay, so now on to the main event. Today, the guest we have with us is Kelly Hilton Green. He's the assistant head of school. People often will ask, what's his role? How does that compare to yours? I really depend on Kelly to take care of a lot of the day-to-day things that happen on this campus, especially as it pertains to students. And so he has a careful hand in planning so much of what we do for student life or the learning that happens beyond our campus. Those of you who might remember the mission statement that we've learned about this year, it's our first year with our new mission statement, but it carefully calls out the learning environment that we're hoping to cultivate here. We want to have a close-knit learning environment that extends from our classrooms to our natural campus and beyond. And so, that learning that can take place off campus, it's important to us at Pine, and definitely the choice to have off-campus education is mission driven. For me, it's an interesting little anniversary we come to every year. Speaking of COVID, one of my first memories of really navigating COVID here at school was a couple of years ago when we had to make some decisions about off-campus education, and where we would go and what we would be able to do. And so, in the midst of COVID unfolding here in this country, the school made the decision not to have students fly for their off-campus education trip. So we did need to cancel our trip to New York City. That was the urban camping outward bound expedition that we have taken students on in the past. And then also we did not have students fly to the DC area to tour colleges there. So as Kelly Hilton Green speaks to you and describes some of the places kids are going this year, know that our off-campus education programming will continue to evolve, especially as our comfort with traveling a little bit wider comes together. So I'll turn things over to Kelly Hilton Green now, and thanks for being here with us to talk about off-campus education.
Thank you. Benny, you hold the slide. I'll just ask you to move it forward as we go. I guess, a brief introduction. I've met many of you all over the campus, but if you are new to the school, we appreciate you giving us the responsibility of educating your children. My name is Kelly Hilton Green. I'm the assistant head of school. As Benny said, I've supported the school in a number of different avenues. Lower school head, a development director, K-12 director, and certainly right now as assistant head of school. One of the biggest parts of that is obviously student life, and that's where a big portion of that is our off-campus education that we do in March. So I'm going to run through just an overview of what we do. I'd be happy to take some general questions at the end of that. Again, if there are any specific questions that you need answered for your child that might pertain just to them, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions, whatever those might be. But I'll give you an overview, and then happy to take some questions. I myself has actually been on, I don't know how many trips in my 22 years of independent school, but in the last few years, it's been in the last 10 years, I've had 4-H centers: Charleston, the Everglades, Billy Swamp Safari, St. Augustine, Charlotte, North Carolina with the seniors, Circle F Dude Ranch last year with our high school students, the Keys, the Everglades, and a number of years ago, about 8 years ago, I was fortunate enough to lead a group of Pine School students back to South Africa for 2 weeks, which was certainly one of my highlights, showing them where I'm from. But anyway, off-campus education is such an important part, not only because it extends what we do in the classroom, but it enables the kids to build a bond with each other in these grades, and certainly get teachers to see them in a different light. So just briefly, I took some bullets off what we do, but each year, obviously, our 5th through 12th graders or participated in those trips. The adventures expand our students' worldview and creates lasting memories. And I think probably that last part is so important. And as they go, we certainly have some students that are a little bit nervous and going in those at the beginning. But as they get into it, it certainly is something we'd like to strongly encourage. This year, in particular, with dealing with everything else, we're dealing with most of our trips are in Florida. And again, we're not flying anywhere at this time. Our seniors are going to go to North Carolina. I'll talk about that in a minute. But, we'll be enjoying the Florida Keys, college tour through Florida, and a number of different challenging and problem-solving activities all over the state. Our seniors will be going to Whitewater Center, and our trips are carefully prepared to kind of support what we do here at school. I do mention it later on. We have partnered with an organization called Grand Classroom, and they specialize in putting these trips together for schools. So any of the logistics, we ask that, we lean on them heavily to make those. The chaperone side is taken care of by the school. So as we go through that, all of our high school trips include some community service opportunities to be able to give back to those areas that they visit. They are able to count those towards graduation requirements, and we do have a minimum requirement of 25 community service hours per year as they go through high school. So quite important that we do that. And I think it also sets a tone that when we go to these places, we're not just tourists, we're actually trying to help out as we move forward. Benny, if you'd move it to the next slide, please. Where are they heading? 5th and 6th grade. And again, our 5th through 12th graders are all going off campus, and we sort of tear it up slowly, understanding that at 5th grade, they're quite young. Some students are not used to doing this sort of thing, and others are. 5th grade and 6th grade are going to Circle F Dude Ranch, which is in Central Florida. It's a wonderful facility. We've been going there for some time for a number of different events. Last year, we had, I think everybody went to Circle F Dude Ranch, just trying to keep people safe. The different grades, 5th grade will leave on the 8th, and I think it's 8 a.m. in the morning. They'll be back at about 5 o'clock that afternoon, and I might be slightly off on that time. But when they do start coming back, we'll certainly allow them to contact you to let you know what time to be ready to pick them up. Our 6th graders will be leaving on the 7th and going for 2 nights to the same spot. We do have 2 different schedules for them while they're there, so they will bump into each other at times, but they will be doing 2 different schedules. And obviously, weather permitting, there's a wonderful water sports area there as well that our students love to enjoy. If it was chilly as last week, I can't imagine anyone will going into the water in Central Florida. But it is a wonderful opportunity. I was fortunate enough with the 9th graders to do some horse riding, some stargazing, water sports, bit of capture the flag, etc., and do some leadership skills as well out there with them. So that's where our 5th and 6th grade are heading. 7th and 8th grade are going to Florida Springs near Tampa and Busch Garden Adventure. Both will be going for the same amount of time. The students will also kayak the Wekiva River, visit the Lucucci State Park. And if they are present, we'll be able to swim with manatees at that time. We hope that they will be present. They usually are. But it's a really fun adventure that they go on. And we're looking forward to that. Again, with our middle school students, we ask that this will come up later, and I'll certainly address it again. But cell phones, we will allow them to have them on the bus ride out there. But as they get to the destination, as they get off, we will take those cell phones in and look after them until they get back on the bus to come home. And don't worry if there's anyone that needs to get in contact with a student. I'll give you some ways to do that. Or certainly if there's someone that needs to chat to get some comfort from home, we'd certainly allow that and work that out with them. Our 9th and 10th graders, and I'll be going on this group with them, but our 9th and 10th graders are going down to the Florida Keys, the Everglades, and Florida City, and will be having a really fun educational trip to that part of the world. 4 nights, 5-day trip will include Florida Keys Wild Bird Center, feeding tarpon at Robbie's. If you haven't done that, you really need to. A conch train tour, snorkeling at John Penny Camp. Students will also enjoy hiking, kayak adventures, etc. Some snorkeling, if I didn't mention that, and I believe they're lined up to swim with the dolphins and marathon. So the Dolphin Research Center down there. So airboat tour, gator, wildlife show, all of those, sort of get them to know the area with their friends. I think that's again, it's making those bonding relationships. From year to year, we do see our seniors begin to write about these in their as they begin to apply to college and what it meant to them. So as we move forward, our 11th graders will be doing a Florida college tour this year. I won't be going up to DC, not just yet, but students will travel up the East Coast towards St. Augustine and continue coming down the West Coast to learn about more possible college choices for their future. They will have Kathleen Bracken, our college guidance counselor, on that tour with them. On that trip, which I think is fantastic. One, for her to get to know all the students, also to talk through any questions that might come up, and as she begins to work with that class on what is going to be an exciting senior year. So she'll be on that tour with them. They'll be leaving on the 7th and coming back on the 11th. And finally, the last trip we take is our seniors. They do take a long bus ride up to North Carolina, Charlotte. They'll be leaving, I think it's also about 8 a.m. on that Monday morning, up to the U.S. National Whitewater Center. I was lucky enough, Benny mentioned earlier, a few years ago, we were in the midst of making decisions just as COVID began. I was lucky enough to actually be in Charlotte when we made those decisions, so we didn't miss out that year, did not miss out on that trip. But it's an incredible trip. The center is just a wonderful center. They have a whitewater section to it. There's mountain biking, ropes courses, climbing, all sorts of zip lines. And you could probably spend a week there and not get bored. But it also affords our students the last time together to bond as a team, as a grade, as they look back on their high school career, as they begin to embark on this next one. So they are very excited about that. And I think we've had almost all of them are signed up for that trip, which is fantastic. Just additional information, and I just wanted to kind of drop in these bullets, and I'm happy to answer any general questions you might have at that. Grand Classroom is our partner within this. They're a company that specializes in this, used by a number of different schools in the area. So we have them to facilitate the meetings should something be closed, should something else come available. They are there on the ground to help our itinerary flow, put our itineraries together, and then work with us on the ground. They will have one person with us on those trips so that they kind of help the flowing of that. Chaperones, all of our chaperones are Pine School teachers. We have a ratio of about 1 to 10. Most of our trips have 4 on them. A few have 3. But we do have chaperones on tour, on OffCampus Education Week on tour, excuse me. But they'll be working with us as we kind of plan for anything, really, and they'll be the go-to person. Each of those gatherings has a lead chaperone, and we'll make that available to you should you need to get hold of somebody on that trip. Health forms, I know you got an email about these, and just we will send these out again, so please don't worry about it. If your child might want to take Advil or Tylenol on the trip, we do need to have a document to say that we can give that to your child. I know you got an email from the nurse about those, and we'll send those out again. And if there's any specific medication that they might need during the trip, we just need to know about that. And I know that our nurse, our clinic has been really good about putting those packets together for us. But if there's anything extra we need to know, please don't hesitate to let us know. Safety and security, for most of the trips, I'd say our 5th and 6th grade are staying in a camp. It is only us there at that time. The chaperones will stay in the cabin. The cabin is really a 2-room cabin that can sleep about 20. It's particularly noisy, but it's a lot of fun. But the chaperones will be staying in those rooms with them. As we get to hotels, students will be 4 to a room. We do have a security guard in the hallways of those hotels. And again, we are on the same floor next to those hotels, those rooms. My experience in the 22 years of taking them, I still rely on tape. So, we put them in. I check them in the room in the morning when they get there, and we make sure the room is neat and tidy. I'll check on it when we come back for a meal. I'll check on it when we go to dinner. And then when it's lights out, I'll just wish them good night and then put a piece of tape on the door. Again, we have a security guard in the hallway to keep people out and keep our students there. But we're on that hallway, and I think first and foremost, we want to make sure our students are safe and where they are. So just understand that we'll be keeping an eye on them. Dress code. Really, it's out of uniform for the week, except it is school appropriate. And so the younger we go with students, it's not as much of an issue. We got a lot of water sports. Certainly, we ask students to kind of not have the cheeky, bathing suits or anything like that. We're going to ask that they put a pair of shorts on. Just kind of go as conservative as we can in those areas. We do also ask that if they are wearing school attire, we don't have any crop tops for the boys or the girls. We don't have any slogans that might be read inappropriately. And we just ask them to put something else on. The weather at this time of year can be a little tricky. So as you prepare for this dress code, a packing list will come out this weekend. My advice is to just send something warm just in case. Central Florida can get a little bit chilly at night, especially this time of year, and you never know what you're going to expect. So those packing lists per group will come out this weekend. Cell phones, I did speak about this. Middle school will be allowed to have them on the bus as they get on the way to their respective areas that they're going to. We will then take them in and then ask that they will give them back as they get back on the bus. Funny story, I took a bunch of 9th graders' cell phones in last year, and I guess one was in the process of being turned off. Unfortunately, it must have bumped, or I bumped, or he bumped, or they bumped the emergency call. So as I was getting off the bus in Circle F Dude Ranch in Central Florida, the local police department came to find me and wanted to know where the emergency was. So because we'd accidentally called 911. So they did a great job. We learned our lesson. But again, we will be taking those away at that time. The goal is to have these kids to spend some time, students spend some time with each other, talk, communicate, and get a break from what they do online, because they do have a lot of that. Upper school, similar rules. We will certainly be more available with those upper school students to allow them some more time with their phones. We're not going to be taking them off them. However, when we're on a tour, we will be asking them to leave them on the bus. If we certainly find one with them, we just take it away for that period of time. But we want them to sort of engage with the whoever's leading that trip, to learn, to listen, and certainly, hopefully, not lose anything. So cell phone policy is online as well. We'd certainly share that. But they're expensive. We don't want them to be lost. We also want them to focus on what's happening around them. Emergency and sort of homesick students, just something that I've had some experience with over the years. Any emergency, we're there. It would be as if we were at school. Most of these trips are taking place 2 to 3 hours away, so we can certainly work with you. We've had some students that have got a stomach bug over the time and may need to return home. And so we'd work with you with those. If there was any major emergency, we'd certainly follow protocols, call 911, all those sort of things. Knock on wood, we have not had to do that, but we do have steps in place for that. I think homesick students is probably something we might see a little bit more of in the last few years anyway. And it's our goal and hope that all of our students would go on these trips. Certainly, the way we put them together is 1 night for 5th grade, 2 nights for 6th grade. And I'd argue that most times students, when they've done one, they really enjoy it. But there are times when students are feeling a little homesick, and that's understandable. So we would work with them, ask, maybe sit them down, allow them to, we'd probably call you, try to calm them down first, and then hopefully keep them on the trip. Again, usually it's in the evenings, but we'd work with you on that. So I guess if there are any questions, please, why don't we just try and type any if you have any. I know it might be a bit of a big group to answer some if you, or put your hand up and we can see that on the screen. But we're looking forward to it. I know we're a month out from them. We want to, this has been an important part of our school for certainly since we've had a high school, and before that, I know the lower school went on a ton of off-campus educations, but trips. Any questions? Anything I can answer?
Kelly, while folks maybe get a little organized there, I just want to give a little round of gratitude to all the faculty and staff who supervise these trips. As you're listening to to Kelly Hilton Green described them, I hope you can appreciate that we're going far and wide with students. We really, really believe, though, that this is as much a part of the learning we want to accomplish with them as what they experience in their classrooms every day. So I'm grateful to my colleagues who are ready to chaperone these trips and to make these adventures possible for our students.
There was one question came up about chaperones. We will share those chaperones with you later today. I'll share those chaperones with you, just finalizing exactly who those are. So I'll share them with each grade so that you know who they are. We'll also let you know who the lead chaperone is and give you contact information for those, because depending on where they go, we'd obviously want you to contact them if there was something that you wanted passed on. And certainly, if any, really great or really sad information, we'd love to be able to at least know that as we deal with that. Susan, Mrs. Wood, you've got a question?
I was just getting ready to type. I was just curious for the 11th grade, what colleges they will be visiting when they go up towards St. Augustine.
Susan, that's a great question. I don't have that right now. I'll certainly get that for you. Okay. I would imagine going to St. Augustine, they'll be going to Flagler. I can't imagine why they wouldn't at least go there. I'll get a list of those to our 11th grade students. I think also on that, and we've had questions in the past, I think it's important to see as many of these as you can. And so while it might not be somewhere where you're even thinking of going, you always learn something going on another campus. And I think that's crucial. So just bear that in mind as it goes. They may think, okay, this is not what I want. I don't want to be in a small touristy town, etc. Or I want a big program that's got a big sports thing, whatever that might be. But I'll get you the list of those to all our 11th graders as we've finalized them. We have had, and it's fortunate that we have a number of campuses that are open to us, but a number of campuses were also closed to us the last 2 years. So we've had to be just careful about arranging those. Previously, you could just arrive and kind of walk on and take a tour type thing. So we will let you know. That's that question.
All these trips have itineraries, and I'm sure that specific information will be coming out to parents in the coming days or weeks. Yeah. Any other general questions or thoughts? All right. Well, I'm going to close this out here. Thank you, Kelly, for being here and explaining a little bit more about off-campus education. Again, I really feel as though it's a core part of our program, and we're so excited that we get to travel with kids every spring. They have a blast, they learn a lot, and they really get to know each other. I wish all of you a very happy Friday and fun weekend ahead. Be well, and we'll see you soon.